long have you been married, and when did you know it was time to get married?
We've been married since 2021. We laugh about this because our dates are so messed up because of babies, meaning there's so many dates to remember.
So
Anniversaries, like kids' birth
May
dates.
14th,
Yeah,
August
all the
23rd.
things. So we've been married for
How did you know it was time to get married?
4 years.
I mean,
how did we know? You just know.
It's also don't waste your time. Right?
Don't waste your time. And plus, we were ready to start our life together.
That's right.
Let's talk a little bit about the behind the scenes relationship of Charlie and Erika. Did they go out to eat? Did they cook at home? Who was messy? Who was clean? What were their little funny tiffs that they would have?
Yeah.
Things like that.
Traveling with them was always very telling because they had this way of, Charlie never raised his voice to her, but they might have a disagreement about what was the right next few steps in the travel plan. And should we pick you up here and do this? And then Erika always kind of would go, she kind of has that no baby thing where, I feel even weird saying because I don't use the B word. And then he would say back yes, sweetie, or something. And they were always so nice in their disagreements, but you could tell they were they definitely had different plans about how we were going to get the kids to the hotel and then with the dinner and then when she should meet him. And so watching them kind of problem solve and work things out in this really sweet way with all these little window dressings of I love yous. I'm always reminded of that. And I'm always reminded that Charlie would always drop everything. We'd be talking about something extraordinarily important and he would just be okay, hold on, Erika's calling, and just take it. She was always the number one priority and everything else would stop if she needed something. And there wasn't anything in the world that he wouldn't do for her.
And I don't know how the executives over at Turning Point USA sleep at night. Okay. I don't know how you can present yourselves as a Christian organization and not be dedicating yourself to the truth. No matter what the cost is, you tell the truth. That's it. Okay. You don't hide it. You don't try to obfuscate it. You don't try to say, well, wait until the memorial event before we start looking into who murdered him. You tell the truth and you tell it immediately. I challenged Turning Point USA executives to issue a very clean statement saying that I am lying if this is not true. About 48 hours before Charlie Kirk died, Charlie informed people at Turning Point, as well as Jewish donors and a rabbi, that he had no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause outright. Okay? Charlie was done. He said it explicitly that he refused to be bullied anymore by the Jewish donors. Can you guys answer? Did he express that? Did he also express that he wanted to bring me, Candace Owens, back because he was standing up for himself? And then did he, just 48 hours later, conveniently catch a bullet to the throat?
So while so many people who never met Charlie Kirk are lying awake trying to figure out the truth behind the incident, his widow Erika is sleeping very well. And it seems now we understand why. According to rumors, just days before Charlie Kirk filed for divorce from Erika, Charlie's private diary pages suddenly appeared online, and they suggested that he had discovered some unclear things in his wife's past. By now, you've probably heard a number of theories about Charlie and Erika's marriage, from claims that Erika was just a bait planted in Charlie's life by some TPUSA donor, to allegations that she was involved with a mysterious elite group that wanted to hide the client list that Charlie demanded be made public. But these newly leaked receipts completely upend everything we believe to be true about them. And it may also explain why Erika was able to move on so quickly, even forgiving the person allegedly involved in the incident that turned Charlie's life around. And then she said something that stopped everyone in their tracks. And I've never felt that. I'm not angry with God, never happened. Never have I questioned, why, Lord, are you putting me through this? Why are you testing me? This guy is so good and he's so sovereign. I could have never forgiven Tyler Robinson for whatever part he played in this. And obviously, I'm saying whatever part he played in this because I don't believe that he was the lone person involved. I don't even think it's person that killed Charlie Kirk. That one line, so gentle yet so full of meaning, sparked all the theories that had been simmering in the background. I don't even think that was the person who directly caused the events that led to Charlie Kirk's departure. Okay, let's get into the divorce rumors. A TikTok account posted a viral video claiming that Candace Owens accidentally leaked evidence that Erika Kirk had filed for an annulment just days before Charlie's incident. This person claims that Candace shared text messages and legal documents that show Charlie was the one who filed for a dissolution of marriage. Charlie Kirk and Erika Kirk filed for a disillusionment of marriage 2 days before his assess. There are actual text messages back and forth between Erika and Charlie discussing a separation of assets and how they're going to come out publicly and when the right timing. But that's not the whole story. Charlie and Erika reportedly sold their Arizona home earlier this year, a move many saw as a sign that the two were already living apart before the incident that changed Charlie's life forever. Furthermore, insiders close to Charlie are now also beginning to speak out, asserting that Charlie and Erika were not as perfect as their public image. According to them, there were many tense arguments behind the scenes that no one knew about. One source said that in the months before Charlie left, Erika had virtually replaced him in TPUSA, acting as if he was no longer the center of the organization. Every time Erika got involved in a turning point event, something felt off. People got pulled from their posts for no clear reason, replaced with names nobody recognized. What most people don't realize is that Erika had already started acting like CEO before Charlie even died. She was giving orders, making executive calls, speaking for the organization in ways that made all of us uncomfortable. Charlie would try to intervene, and she'd just talk over him like he didn't even matter anymore. But according to the story, Erika often spoke over him as if his voice no longer held any weight. And then there was the awkward video, the moment Charlie asked Erika about their wedding day, and she completely froze. She couldn't remember how long they had been married and tried to cover it up with the usual line, "There's so many dates to remember." I know, I get all the anniversaries. Gee, like kids' birthdays. May 14th. How did we... So we've been married for... How did you know it was time to get married? How did we know? You just know. It's also what? Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. And plus, we were ready to start our life together. That's right. It felt like Charlie was testing her reaction, like he sensed something was off and wanted to see how she'd respond. And really, Charlie was starting to connect the dots. He's been shifting his stance over the last few years from CO to restrictions, to Ukraine to the border. We push back against the media on COVID, on lockdowns, on Ukraine, on the border. On it's like, maybe we should also ask a question. Is the media totally presenting the truth when it comes to Israel? Just a question. You know that maybe we shouldn't believe everything the media says, because I know I've been conditioned to ask a lot more critical questions over the last couple of years. That's just one question, a reminder that perhaps we shouldn't believe everything presented on screen, especially as many of us have learned to ask more critical questions in recent years. But what about Charlie? Will he begin to question things beyond policy? Will he begin to doubt his marriage and wonder if everything Erika tells him about her past is entirely true? With so much information emerging about Erika's life before Charlie, one wonders, what was she hiding and how much? Remember, when Charlie met Erika, he had little experience with love. Erika, meanwhile, is 5 years older and has a much more colorful past. So I happened to be there in Israel too. And so I was on a pilgrimage with my mom in Israel, and I turned around and I saw someone who looked super familiar. Miss America, Trump pageant winner, casting director, Romanian orphanage founder, reality TV star, music video model. It's like she lived 10 different lives before meeting Charlie. And don't forget, Erika comes from a family with a strong financial background working in government contracting. How did your mom choose Phoenix? So she chose to move to Phoenix from Ohio because there was more of an opportunity for a female business owner out here, especially from the standpoint of she was getting involved with the government, so Homeland Security and Department of Defense. And so she had other business partners that were out here that were already in that industry. Her family also received a plaque in Jerusalem for their work on the restoration of the Zion Gate. Details like these complicate the story and make us wonder if everything Charlie believed in the first place was the whole truth. And when it comes to the honeymoon theory, there's an interesting detail that many people haven't noticed. Charlie coincidentally met Erika, who would later become his wife, right before TPUSA officially arranged their first date. That has many people wondering, was this fate or a carefully planned coincidence? And in the snake of the ticket line was a guy who looked very familiar. I had no idea who he was. And I told my mom, this guy looks so familiar. And as a typical mother, she said, go and say hi. No, we were late for our flight. And I'm not going to come off like a crazy person with a that's just weird. That ended up being Charlie. Charlie. A random moment, or is it part of a larger puzzle? one where nothing is truly random. And as rumors of the honey theory, the chosen one, or the intentionally placed in Charlie's life grew, people began to notice something more important. Erika rarely or almost never mentioned the issues that Charlie cared deeply about, including the sensitive lists and records he had publicly called for transparency. Some asked, if Charlie spent so much time talking about the lists that needed to be cleared, why did the issue largely disappear from Erika's messages after he left? Since Charlie's death, Erika has often said that she wanted to pick up where he left off, that she wanted to continue telling the truth, but longtime followers sensed something was off. Charlie's message then and Erika's message now were not the same. Some say it's just a difference in style, others believe it's a difference in goals. And there are many who think Erika is telling a completely new story, one that she controls and no one can argue with. Meanwhile, the internet continues to dig up every little detail. The chance meeting, the planned dates, the topics that Charlie cares about but Erika avoids, and the promise that she will continue the journey of telling the truth while the questions are never answered. So what is the truth? A natural encounter or a pre-planned path? A sincere promise or a new story being rewritten? That question still has no end. I will make sure that I don't stay silent. I'll keep speaking the truth. That was the statement many believed Charlie left behind, a promise that he would never turn his back on the big questions he was pursuing. But immediately the bigger question arose. Was Erika really following through? Was she telling the truth about the lists that Charlie himself had publicly called for clarification? Charlie did not just mention the list vaguely. He spoke about it clearly, directly, and with determination. He argued that behind everything, behind the rumors, behind the controversial figures, behind the half-truths, there was a deeper, more complex structure that not everyone dared to touch. Lies that Epstein with his little friend Gallon and Gallon's father, Robert Maxwell, who was obviously a spy of the Israeli intelligence agencies, that there was something else going on here. Epstein was not some sort of whiz-kid hedge fund manager. Epstein was playing a part. Epstein was a lair. Epstein was cast for a specific role. For Charlie, this was no longer just a media story. It was a web of power that he believed needed to be illuminated. And that's where many people are asking if that was what Charlie was most passionate about before he left. Why did Erika and his successors in TPUSA avoid the subject altogether? If they truly wanted to protect Charlie's legacy, they should have continued the question. He started, but the reality is the opposite. Since Charlie's fall, TPUSA has largely been silent on what he once fought for. They have shifted gears, changed priorities, and focused on content that pleased their donors rather than pursuing the truth. So Charlie Kirk's wife, who the day Charlie Kirk was murdered, I said I felt for. I still do for her and her kids. She's grifting now. Charlie Kirk is worth tens of millions of dollars. That's a fact. That's not an opinion. And his wife is going on social media and asking people for donations and money. What is she doing other than grifting? What else would you call that? If you're going to get donations, why wouldn't you use it for something like, I don't know, helping the homeless, doing something about those that are mentally ill, for example? There's so much you could do with these donations of money that can help society. Instead, she's going to be using it for herself. And I say to myself, your husband was worth tens of millions of dollars. Why are you grifting and asking for money before your husband is even 6 feet underneath the ground? I find this distasteful, and I find it disgusting. Some feel like Charlie's legacy is being reshaped, not to honor him, but to suit the interests of a few influential individuals within the organization. Some even say that TPUSA is completely remaking its public image while Charlie's warnings are being pushed aside. The latest example is the Florida branch of TPS, which abruptly censored and removed a large number of members from its internal chat group. The official reason given was inappropriate language. But according to the members who were removed, what they did was simply ask the same questions Charlie himself asked when he was alive. Why isn't the list public? What's really going on? Who's controlling the message? If this is a topic Charlie once held dear, why have his successors banned any discussion of it? Longtime observers say there are two possibilities. Possibility 1, Erika truly believes she is protecting Charlie's legacy in her own way by keeping her cool, by avoiding conflicts she deems too dangerous or too sensitive. Possibility 2, there are interests behind the scenes. Interests that Charlie has gotten too close to, and keeping quiet is the safest option for those who continue to run the organization. It's also impossible to ignore the fact that Erika increasingly appears in the public eye as a leader, a spokesperson, a coordinator, as if she were being groomed to take Charlie's place once he's gone. The discrepancy between what Charlie said and what Erika is saying is too great to be overlooked. One side asks questions. One side avoids questions. One side wants to shed light on the entire network. The other side chooses to shut down the conversation. So what's the truth? Who is protecting Charlie's legacy? And who is manipulating it to suit their own interests? That question still hangs in the air unanswered. And this is where the royal spotlight digs in. And when they say hate speech, what they really mean is students who dare to ask questions. Tucker Carlson supporters who want to know the truth about the client list, about the huge amounts of tax money that are being moved offshore without any transparent explanation. From there, things start to get more ambiguous than ever. Ben Shapiro, who has been Charlie's media ally for years, is now firing back at Charlie's followers for asking questions about the list. He claims that he's attempting to crack down on illegal immigration on a list of American priorities by the polls. The Epstein-Maxwell case comes in pretty close to zero, just on a list of priorities. He also says that America is facing countless issues: immigration, the economy, security. So the Epstein and Maxwell story is almost unimportant. But this is completely at odds with everything Charlie has said. This is more than just a scandal. This is a story about power, cover-ups, and public accountability. And now that Erika is CEO of TPUSA, she has stopped talking about it. Not a word, not a single mention of what her husband fought so publicly before he left. Candace and Owens also pointed out something even more strange. People who are considered close friends of Charlie and Erika at TPUSA seem completely uninterested in clarifying the details surrounding the October 10th incident. They are mostly evasive, silent, or speaking in generalities as if the matter is over. But for many, it is just beginning. And I don't know how the executives over at Turning Point USA sleep at night. Okay? I don't know how you can present yourselves as a Christian organization and not be dedicating yourself to the truth. No matter what the cost is, you tell the truth. That's it, okay? You don't hide it. You don't try to obfuscate it. You don't try to say, well, wait until the memorial event before we start looking into who murdered. You tell the truth, and you tell it immediately. And I don't think they're capable of doing that. And I have an idea as to why that is. I think the same people that were pressuring Charlie are pressuring them. In fact, I know that for a fact. And then the biggest question arises: if they are truly innocent, why don't they want it all cleared up? Tucker Carlson's student supporters continue to ask questions on forums. Who was really behind the list? Why was it never made public? And why was Charlie the only one in his group who dared to speak about it? Many cannot understand why TPUSA, the organization Charlie built, would disregard an issue that its founder himself believes is at the core of the fight for transparency. This contradiction has led to growing suspicion in the community that there are forces at work, forces so powerful that they could change the organization's message, priorities, and even direction after Charlie's departure. Additionally, inside sources have suggested that some TPUSA directors have become uncomfortable with Charlie's constant broaching of the subject, calling it sensitive, off-limits, or damaging to donor relations. If that's true, then we're left with a more serious question. Who did Charlie offend before the incident? And more importantly, who benefits from the silence? Each time TPUSA deletes posts, blocks members, or labels questions that Charlie himself once encouraged as hateful, it becomes increasingly clear that a major shift is underway behind the scenes. Not for transparency, but for a different strategy. A strategy not named Charlie Kirk. And when you look at the whole picture, Erika's silence, TPUSA's defensive response, Ben Shapiro's backsliding, the silencing of any discussion of the client list, you see that this is no longer a personal story. This is a story about power, about who is protected, who is kept silent, and who is pushed aside. And the final question that remains unanswered: if not Charlie, who has the courage to come forward? Okay, I really don't understand how an organization can present itself as a faith-based organization talking about truth, transparency, and ethics, but not be dedicated to protecting the truth. If you say you stand for honesty, there's only one way to prove it. No matter what the cost, you have to tell the truth. That's it. You don't hide the truth. You don't obscure it. You don't delay and say, let's wait until after the memorial service, after everything is settled down, and then we'll see what happened. No. If you believe in the truth, you have to tell it right away. And frankly, I don't think they have the capacity to do that. I know that sounds harsh, but I've been watching them for a long time. I think the people who pressured Charlie are now the people who pressure them. The reality is, and I say this with certainty, there are forces at work behind the scenes that many people don't see. Forces powerful enough to guide the narrative, shape the message, and even shape how they respond to the founders' own grief. So whether or not the divorce rumors are entirely accurate, there are too many anomalies surrounding Erika and TPUSA to dismiss them all as everyone grieves differently. No, it's much deeper than that, and everyone feels it. In case you missed it, Erika just accepted the Charlie Kirk Legacy Award, a prize given to honor her husband's own legacy. The moment she stepped onto the stage, the entire room applauded. The lighting was beautiful. The cameras were focused on every expression on her face. And then the most controversial thing happened. She tried to cry, but there were no tears. Not one, not a slight tremor, not a choking moment, just expressiveness. No real emotion. And that sent the internet into a frenzy, because this wasn't the reaction of someone who had just suffered a serious loss. It was like a performance, beautiful, staged, and calculated to elicit sympathy without any real sign of sadness. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Erika Kirk. It was very confusing, very rehearsed, and far from real pain. But here's the chilling part. People who knew Charlie, people who worked alongside him for years, say this was not the Erika Charlie loved. Not the warm woman Charlie described in the podcast, not the partner he protected. They say that months before the incident, Erika had changed. She began giving orders. She spoke for Charlie. She acted as if she were the head of the organization, even when Charlie was still there. And when Charlie tried to intervene, she talked over him as if his voice had lost its value. That stunned many people because the way they told it, Charlie had begun to question, not just about politics, about the media, about the world, but about his own marriage. He sensed something was wrong. He felt something was wrong. You can see that in his last podcast episodes where he started talking about questioning certainties. So what's the big question now? Is TPUSA's silence and Erika's theatrical appearance a sign that they're defending the truth or something else entirely? And if the people who pressured Charlie are also pressuring them, as many believe, then that means this story is about more than just marriage or internal organization. It's about power, influence, and a truth that too many seem to be holding back. And as always, we'll be watching every change, every detail, every whisper, every little sign until the final picture emerges. So, what does all this really say about Charlie and Erika's marriage? Well, from the outside, Charlie might have believed he was marrying for love, a genuine, fateful love, one rooted in faith and ideals. But when you look at the relationships, the circles, and the powerful figures around Erika's family, you realize they're not playing the same game. No one in those circles marries for emotion. They marry for political power, control, and image. These are marriages built as a strategy, not a celebration. And now, as each layer of mystery is peeled back, more and more people are beginning to believe that Erika may not have been a random partner in Charlie's life, but rather a factor brought into the right place at the right time in the right circumstances for the right purpose. A carefully chosen place, an image keeper is trained to fit into an ambitious political space. This may sound harsh, but look at the model. Erika comes from a family of government contractors tied to security agencies and programs. She has worked in the media, beauty, reality, TV industries. She has the ability to perform flawlessly in front of the camera. She has a deep network of relationships from religion to media to international projects. All of these elements are not common in a normal relationship. They are the signs of a strategic piece. And when Charlie is in the frame, when he fits the image they want to build, everything seems to go smoothly. He is a strong, passionate, well-liked, influential voice. Such a person is useful as long as he goes in the right direction. But then, according to sources and leaked notes, Charlie began to change. He began to question. He began to seek answers for himself. He began to suspect things he had never questioned before. And for those who pursue power, a key figure out of line is troubling. But here's the biggest question. Was Charlie just part of the plan all along? A pawn? A face brought in at the right time? Or did he discover something they never thought he would? Because when someone begins to suspect, they begin to see things differently. Every word, every meeting, every behavior of the person around them. It's possible that Charlie began to realize that there were things in his marriage that weren't what he thought they were. Stories of the past, relationships that weren't explained, Erika's actions in meetings, at events, and within TPUSA. And when personal notes leaked that Charlie had doubts, had questions, had felt distance, the community began to see the story in a different light. It wasn't a love at first sight romance anymore. It was a structure that had been built and possibly orchestrated. So what else were they hiding? That's the question everyone is asking now, because every day that passes, a new piece of information emerges, a recording, an email, a conversation, a moment resurrected from the past, and each piece doesn't make the story any clearer. On the contrary, it makes it all darker, deeper, more unpredictable. Those who believed this was a personal tragedy now realize that it may involve many more layers of power. Those who believed Erika simply wanted to continue her husband's legacy now begin to question the real reason. Those who believe TPUSA would protect the truth now find themselves avoiding, keeping silent, and covering their tracks. Maybe Charlie accidentally saw too much. Maybe he discovered something going on behind the scenes. Or maybe he simply no longer fits the role they prepared for him. According to public sources, this story is attracting attention in the online community. We only report what is of interest to the public without any intention to confirm or speculate about anyone's private life. All information is for entertainment and commentary purposes only. Whatever it is, this story has gone beyond anything we ever thought possible. Where there is a moment of silence, there is something bigger at work.